All right, so let's look at example number 2. For example 2, we want to factor each polynomial. So for part A, we're factoring 4x squared plus 13x plus 3. So step 0 is looking for GCF. Well, do we have one? Not in this one. There's nothing in common between 4, 13, and 3. Okay, so now we want to find A, B, and C. So our A is 4, B is 13, C is 3. We want to do A times C, which is 4 times 3. So our AC is going to be equal to 12. Now from 12, we want to find two numbers that multiply to 12, but we want them to add up to 13, right? Our B value. So what are factors of 12? Well, we could do 1 times 12, 2 times 6, or 3 times 4. And which of these is going to add up to 13? Well, it's going to be 1 plus 12. So we know that 1 and 12 are the numbers that we want to use. So when we make our box, we'll have our 4x squared in the first box, 3 in the last box, and then our 13x we're going to split into 1x and 12x. Okay, now if we look for our greatest common factor between 4x squared and 12x, our greatest common factor is going to be 4x, right? They both have a 4 and they both have an x. Okay, if that side's 4x, then that means this side needs to be an x to get us that 4x squared. If that side's x, our side over here is going to be 1. If that's 1, we're going to have a 3. Double check our last box. We have 4x times 3. Is that 12x? Yeah. So we found our answer. It's going to be 4x plus 1 times x plus 3. And that is our final answer for part A. Okay, let's look at B. So for B, we have 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. So again, we want to check for a GCF. We don't have one here either because 3, 7, negative 7, and 2 don't have anything in common. So let's move on to our next step, finding A, B, and C. So A is 3, B is negative 7, C is 2. Oops. Okay, and then we need to do A times C. So we're doing 3 times 2, which gives us 6. So that means that our AC value is 6, so we want to find two factors that multiply to 6, but we want them to add to negative 7, our B value. So since we want them to add to a negative number, then if we think about it, we need them to multiply to a positive number and add to a negative. So we're going to do a negative times a negative because that will give us a positive. And then when we add them, it will stay negative. So what are negative factors that multiply to 6? Well, we could have negative 1 times negative 6, or we could have negative 2 times negative 3. So which one of these is going to add up to negative 7? Well, it's going to be negative 1 plus negative 6, right? That's going to be negative 7. So when we draw our box, we'll have 3x squared in the first box, 2 in the last box, and then our negative 7x, we're going to split up to be negative 1x and negative 6x. Okay, now we just need to find our sides. So if we look between 3x squared and negative 6x, what do those have in common? Well, they both have a 3x. And if that side's 3x, then what does this side need to be to get 3x squared? Well, it would need to be x. And if that side's x, that means that this side would need to be negative 1. If that side's negative 1, what would this side need to be to get us a positive 2? Well, it would need to be negative 2, right? A negative times a negative is a positive. Then we can double check our last box. We have 3x times negative 2 Is that negative 6x? Yeah. So our answer is 3x minus 1 times x minus 2. Okay, and that's it for example number 2.